What's up, everybody? So, a few years ago, I picked this 3D printer up off of Facebook for 180 bucks, and it is a wanhao duplicator i3 3D printer. It works. It did work. I did print some stuff with it. It's sitting on my desk backwards right now, but that's okay. It had a big control box with a whole bunch of wires coming off of it, and it had a really old Melzi board on it. And eventually, I went to replace the board because it was acting weird and it was printing kind of badly. And my friend had given me a MKS Gen L board. So I spent a couple months, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, trying to get, yeah, this is LCD from LZ, trying to get this MKS Gen L board to work with this LCD so I could use the printer. And at the time, I was unemployed. I didn't have very much money. I didn't have a lot of money to buy a new LCD. And I was talking to a friend of mine, and he basically gave me, it was an old, he replaced his Ender 3's board, and it came with an LCD. So I had both of these sitting around, and I never could get Marwin to work with this display. There'll be more on that another time, I think. So I ended up putting this board away, and I've been working with, this is an Ender 3 Reality 3D 1.1.4, so it's an older board. It's not super fancy, but it does work. And this was actually sitting in a makerspace for a while, and the power supply blew up. So I've been cobbling it back together. I had to do a whole bunch of rewiring, move the wiring for the stepper motors around, almost I think every single one other than the extruder and the Z-axis. I had to redo the wiring on both of these, and then the Y-axis stepper. And also, somehow, there's like a little piece of metal tab that's screwed on, and it's got some threads on it, and your end stop switch sits on it. And there's supposed to be one right here on the side. And it's lost, and I don't know where it is, and I didn't know where the button was either. So it's supposed to, you have your little JST plug, I guess, connector, and this is where I'm supposed to get the other end of it. The switch is supposed to plug into this, but I couldn't find the switch anywhere, so I ended up going to a local electronics store and found a little switch and wired it up with some car audio crimps, I guess, and just ghetto glued it in here. That's pretty loose right there, but it works. It's held on with some nylon washers and a little bolt that threads into here because this is threaded. So it works. The printer does move. I was trying to run it on my this power supply here, except as soon as I would turn the bed on, it would off. It would just take too much current from the power supply. Power supply would shut off. So I'm waiting on a power supply to get this to work. I can get it to move. I was using this power supply here. This is a 14 amp power supply, or 12 volts at 14 amps. It works, but I foolishly was following a guide on the RepRap forums, and they had a guide for converting an ATX power supply, and they had it using only one 12-volt wire. And I was talking to a friend, he said that, especially with these heated beds, you can't get by with just one 12-volt wire. You'll need at least 3 or 4 because of how much amps these beds can pull. So I kind of screwed myself here. So I had taken this power supply apart and went inside of there. You can kind of see all the wires I cut. So there's not really any fixing that. That'll be a pain in the butt. I might try later with pulling everything apart, taking these Molex off, but we'll see how the other power supply works. I might just go that route. I was a bit disappointed. I installed a custom blue fan in here that once you plug this in, it goes blue, and it was gonna sit with this. But I actually really like this printer. It's a really simple design, and I got it for pretty cheap, and it works, and it's decently solid. Like it's a bit wobbly, but it's decently solid, especially for the price. Yeah, I think what I'll do after I get this working is I'll finish wiring this up with the Ender 3 board, and I'm probably going to get this working with the Clipper. And I think what I'll do is I'll do more of a detailed video on the wiring just in case anyone's going to switch this around. But it does work, and I haven't printed anything yet because I was figuring that if it can't even power the heated bed, it might not even be able to move the motors properly and run the hot end. So even if I did try to make a PLA print with no heated bed, it's probably just going to be a waste of PLA, but I don't even know if it'll work. So I'm probably maybe going to cobble this together working in the meantime and see if we can get it to work properly. Because it does work. The heated bed will run. This power supply won't shut off, but the yellow wire and the black wire will get quite hot. Like these, I had these plugged into the Molex connector here, and they got quite warm. So I guess there will be a part 2 in a few weeks or months, depending on when I build or make the next video on it, getting this thing to run.